Both innocent villagers and ignorant visitors alike are susceptible to the deception of the Wuwang Hill spirits, which draw them deep into dark woods where thick mist blots out the sky, unknown dangers lurk in shadows. There are many means by which these sinister spirits are able to deceive mortals. Some take the form of bereavement or grief, others of regret, manifesting as voices and visages of the deceased, the love of the departed, or the remorse of another party in an unresolved dispute. The traveler finds themselves compelled to heed the spirit's cry, but Wuwang Hill is not always this way. Some signs of life remained there up until relatively recently, and in times gone by the village at the foot of the slope enjoyed a peaceful and leisurely existence. The chimneys always smoking and the lanterns always lit. That same village stands abandoned today. The buildings are in ruins, and all that remains of the villagers is the indistinct murmuring from a realm beyond. There is a fable that is oft repeated among the children of Qingse village. It holds that the young people of Wuwang Hill, enchanted by the whale-like song of a faraway sea monster, all threw themselves into the gently flowing Baishu River in pursuit of false promises and childlike dreams. Along the river they floated, making their way to the sea of clouds, where they became one with the waves and lost all memory of the woods and their village on the hill. Their dreams, meanwhile, became the sea monster's song. Generation after generation of young people disappeared in this way, until in the end, the sole remaining residents of Wuwang Hill were old and gray. One by one, they left this mortal plane amid sighs of grief. The bright lights of Liyue Harbor, Rex Lapis's pride and joy, burned ever brighter, while another neglected mountain village turned into a silent ghost town. A plant species that only grows in certain regions and islands of the ocean. Though it looks like they are a fungus of some sort, it actually comes from a substance secreted by certain soft-bodied organisms. In the folk tales in a certain land, these mouthless, noseless creatures are the transformed souls of children who died young. As a form of punishment, they must spend endless years absorbing the elements within the sand and sea, using their fragile bodies, piling them up, and forming Sea Ganoderma. And once the Ganoderma are fully formed, they shall be harvested. The following is an excerpt from the forgotten notes of a human test subject known as Abbas. Abbas is a mysterious male who underwent strange and horrendous experiments under the supervision of the Fatui, and Abbas is allegedly infected with the Elazar disease. Quote, I can hear them all. The vicious winds of the desert, Avin's angry weeping for Hakim, the words of God. Could always hear them, all of them. First Hakim, then Avin, and Abbas. They all left, dissolving into the yellow sand, leaving me here just to suffer. But my broken mind and body can bear no more. Oh God, protector of all the desert people, mightier than the sandstorm, more glorious than the sun, I beg you, put an end to this trial. Free me, I beg you. From the scalpel of the wicked doctor, from the potions that make me hurt all over, let me return to the fields of my home. I beg you, please. Knock, Abbas. Knock harder. If you knock the right place, you can break these mud walls. Then you will never have to eat grass or lizards again. Knock, Abbas. Don't be afraid. You can get out. Don't be afraid. You can get out. Don't be afraid. You can get out. God punished me. I should have died. but now I'm hiding in this hole, living like a lizard. The evil doctor has forgotten, and so has God. Wait in this pit that was dug, and the end will come, just as he will eventually return with his 7 glorious apostles. And when that time comes, there will be no more suffering. Hakim and Avin will return to their beloved Aru village, and little Abbas will have all the sweets he wants. And dunes, some of their beasts, home. Will Mom and Dad be there waiting for me when the end comes? They're still healthy, so they should be in the fields. They shouldn't. I don't want to die. Are you still listening? King of all the children of the sand. We have been punished with Elazar because we were lazy and wasted the precious fields God gave us. I accept this. God, if you are still willing to accept this unworthy believer Abbas as your own, please show yourself to me. Speak to me once more. I do not want to dissolve into the yellow sands, not yet. God forgives all. After a certain number of years, an infant will be chosen as the Sun Child, gaining control over the nation. We had a total of 7 Sun Children. But how could mere children rule a nation? The ones who truly controlled everything were people behind the scenes. The Sun Children were mere puppets, their every move manipulated by these people. And yet there was no end to the greed of those powerful people. They grew fat off the toil of the people, compelling the Sun Children to perform heinous deeds. And so the people's ire rose, and many of those sins were laid at the feet of the Sun Children. When Dainichi Mikoshi was built, the Dragonaires were defeated, repelled by a light that they were unused to. Thus did the people regain peace of mind. But the moment peace began to reign, the human heart is hard to comprehend. Who knew then that they would have begun to nurse such evil intent? O traveler from another land, I am certain that you know how voracious villains will seize for themselves riches and power if given the chance, more than they deserved. And so they used the people, leading them onto the worship of the Dainichi Mikoshi, leading them to the folly of believing in such vain and dead objects. In the end, they even proclaimed the rule of the Sun-Child pantheon over the land. There will always be a young infant chosen to be the Sun-Child. Of course, such children would not have been of age to understand the world. They would not have been fit to rule. So they served as puppets, going along with those who pulled their strings in the background. I wanted to oppose this, but I was accused of high treason by the Sun-Child under their control and imprisoned here. That is why no Sun-Child has ever reached maturity. For it is as you say, grown people are not so easily swayed by villains. When the Sun Children reached a certain age, they would follow a ceremony and enter the Dainichi Mikoshi on their birth date. Yes, that process would be known as the Rite of Solar Return. The Sun Children were birthed from the Dainichi Mikoshi, and they would again return to the seat of the sun before the mortal world could taint them. The temperature of the Dainichi Mikoshi was such that its light could warm all of Byakuya Koku. Happy Halloween, everyone!